Welcome to the Train of Thought podcast. My name is Logan DeCamp. I am a personal trainer and nutrition coach.
Oh, I'm Chloe DeCamp, and I am an athletic trainer, certified athletic trainer.
There we go. And on this recording, we're going to be talking about why the difference between a personal trainer and athletic trainer is important, and why that's going to help you not only help you with your fitness goals, but it's really going to shine a light on how athletic trainers don't get the recognition that they deserve.
Recognition that they deserve.
Yeah, there we go. That's the word.
Gotcha.
So for those that are listening in, I do have a stutter and a speech impediment. So if you hear me take a longer pause than normal, and if you hear me just mess up a word, just like I just did, it's because I'm still trying to learn how to talk. So thank you for your patience as well too. And then towards the end of this podcast, because this is the first recording we've ever done, we will talk about like why we're even doing this and what that looks like. So please be sure to stick around. So yeah, should we go ahead and get into it?
Totally.
You sound really enthused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Let's do it. Okay. Well, hold on real quick. This is kind of a trip. Did you ever think that you would be doing a podcast on a table you grew up with?
Is it a trip? No. Of course I didn't. No.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah, this is my childhood table, and it's got lots of character to it. It's barely hanging on, so it is what it is.
We had to very carefully do like a turn on this table to get the mic set up the way, and I literally thought the legs were going to pop off. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked already. Okay, so I thought it would be fun if maybe we took a kind of spin on this for a second, and if we kind of switched roles. So I'm a personal trainer and nutrition coach, and you're a athletic trainer. So just to have some fun with it, I thought it would be fun if you tell me what you think a personal trainer is, and we'll just talk about personal training more specifically. And we won't get into nutrition on this podcast today. Okay. And if and then like I'll switch roles and I'll kind of say what a athletic trainer is.
Yeah. In terms of like what you do specifically, or do you want like personal trainers in general?
Let's just take like a generalized approach.
Yeah. So I would say personal trainers typically help people with their fitness goals, which typically end up being weight loss, build muscle, get lean, get tone. I want my summer body. Like things like that where it's like very specific to that, and they typically will take people through workouts and oftentimes provide nutrition advice, but we don't have to get into that because typically they can give advice, but they're maybe not super certified in that. So certified with personal training, they'll work out with people, show people how to work out, show people how to use machines and properly work out, good form on exercises, things like that, and then provide them with programs to follow. So that's the typical personal trainer in my eyes, and what they do.
Cool. That was a way better definition than I'm probably going to give a athletic trainer, but I hope I don't mess this up because I know this is something that's really important to you. So in my kind of what I believe a athletic trainer is I used to think it was just somebody that would, be on the sideline of a sports team. If like somebody got hurt, they're like the first ones there. But I've come to understand that athletic trainers don't have to necessarily be working on the sideline of a sports team. They could also be working alongside a doctor in a clinic. I think you also mentioned that they could, become like a physical, a therapist, which is like a different kind of realm.
Yeah, you'd have to get a whole other certification for physical therapist. It doesn't even matter if you'd have athletic training background with that. But yeah.
But essentially, a athletic trainer really helps with sports performance and injury prevention, and they're I mean, you especially, you have lots of knowledge about different things in the body that sometimes I, as a personal trainer, don't know. Like, I know the muscles really well, how the muscles work, but like, you're like, hey, this nerve here, like this, and like you were telling me some stuff this morning.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like athletic trainers, I mean, they have a master's degree, so they definitely have more education than a personal trainer does.
Yeah.
So they're more knowledgeable. They are the first ones to respond if somebody gets hurt on the field, which is a scary responsibility.
Totally, yeah.
I can't even imagine that. Like, that would be frightening.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I
definitely
view a athletic trainer as.
Yeah, I think you're right on with that. Like, for a lot of years, like, obviously I knew what an athletic trainer was because of my mentor in high school. Her name's Brooke Ray, and she's an amazing athletic trainer, and she opened up that world to me. Otherwise, prior, I had no idea what an athletic trainer was. And most people to this day still don't know what an athletic trainer is. And I feel like every time I explain it to people, they're like, oh, so you do the same thing as your husband. That's awesome. I'm like, no, actually, we don't do exactly the same things. Like, we can cross over a lot with like teaching people good form, with athletics, with exercises and things like that. Nutrition, and then that overlaps, but a lot of it doesn't really overlap. And so I think when I try to explain to people, I'm like, no, I'm not the same. Like, this is this and this. I kind of lose people. So a lot of the time I just revert back to that. Oh, we're just the ones that run on the field and when people get hurt. Because I'm like, I don't know. I can't get into it because, like you said, we learn a lot of things. We learn a little about a lot of things. And so it varies a ton. But I think it can definitely become a good relationship between a personal trainer and an athletic trainer, because we can help each other. Like, you've taught me tons of things that I didn't realize before either, with certain exercises, how to do, training volumes, and you have a lot of knowledge in terms of like nutrition that we get barely anything on nutrition. We get one class. I took one class at least. I don't know about anybody else. And I didn't even take a sports nutrition class, which I really wish I could have, but it wasn't in my program. So kind of interesting there.
Interesting. So to go back for a second, you mentioned you often revert to just telling people that your profession is, you're just the first one out on the field, on like the sidelines. So if you could go first, just kind of like 2 to 3 sentences, like, what is an athletic trainer? Like, what specifically do you do? And we do have some notes. So if you see us looking down, she's got a lot of notes. It looks like so.
I don't know if I can even narrow it into 2 to 3 sentences, because athletic trainers are so multifaceted. We have like major pillars that we follow through, like, our education. And that goes from injury prevention and diagnosis, or, injury treatment and diagnosis. And then it goes into like the rehab and, how to get everybody better, injury, emergency preparedness with like the emergency stuff, that you were talking about. And then it kind of goes into other stuff as well. But in terms of just like the core, what an athletic trainer is, it's kind of hard to like narrow that down for me, because there's just so many things that we can do. And for me personally, I work in a clinic. So I work under a physician, and that's an open, kind of an alternate route for athletic trainers. Most athletic trainers that you'll know is, the ones that are at high schools, and the ones like who taught me and introduced me to it. So the high schools, sports teams, those are the biggest ones. And it's now kind of growing, and we have a lot more variant in things. Like, you can see people in like physician's office, like I was saying, military, it's growing into there. It's going into like, what's the word for it? I had it written down. industrial, so like kind of workers' comp cases are starting to use like athletic trainers to teach them how to do like their occupation better so that they get less hurt, which is really interesting. So more and more people will probably come into contact with athletic trainers, but that means there's even more definitions for an athletic trainer now because like it's going to become, you can pretty much find them in all different areas and they're not the same in each area.
Yeah.
So that was more than 3 sentences. Sorry.
Nope, you're fired. No, I'm just kidding. It kind of sounds like, because in the personal training realm, and I don't want to get down a rabbit hole here because it can kind of get frustrating, but there's you become more specialized in a corrective exercise, or you can become specialized in nutrition, or you can become specialized in working with elderly people, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like with athletic training, there needs to almost be like a specialty around the name, kind of like.
I don't think there needs to be necessarily.
Yeah, well, I guess where I'm coming from that more specifically is because whenever somebody says they are a athletic trainer, it can be so many different things. Right. So maybe it would help if like, hey,
it would help if it had a different name.
Well, yeah, maybe that too, but like, hey, I'm a athletic trainer that specializes in this.
Yeah. And people would have to specify. Yeah.
And then they'd be like, oh, so you do this. But like you just saying you're an athletic trainer, it's like it's this big open field of just everything you can do.
Totally.
So it sounds like there needs to be like something else to the name with more specialties to it.
Right. And I actually looked, because I know other people have said the same thing. Like, nope, I don't know of any athletic trainer that's like, I really love the name athletic trainer. Like, that defines us perfectly. Like, that's so vague. That is the vaguest name. We don't. It doesn't
Where
did
it come from?
I don't know. I'd have to look into that. We could probably touch on that another time. But I looked at, across the seas over in like England and like a lot of other countries and stuff. They call them sports therapists or something, or athletic therapists or physiotherapists. And that sounds almost a little bit closer to what it is, because it's like, okay, we're closer to like a PT or physical therapist, and so that kind of goes into that realm.
Interesting. Yeah, so many things I want to ask. So one thing I want to ask before we switch over to me and I kind of dive into what my definition of personal training is, because there's a bunch I can talk about there. So just for the people that are listening in, I want them to kind of be able to put a thought in their mind in regards to like, okay, why would I even go and see a athletic trainer versus like a personal trainer, right? Because you mentioned personal trainers like, we're going to help you lose body fat, get stronger, be more mobile. But if you could answer, like, why would somebody even go to like an athletic trainer?
Well, I think the hardest part of answering that, we've talked about this earlier, because athletic trainers aren't widely available for public use, I guess you could say. You don't just get hurt and you're like, I'm going to go see my athletic trainer. No, you'll get hurt on a sports team or something like that, and you'll go see a doctor, right? Or, outside in the real world. And if you don't have an athletic trainer assigned to your sport, then you'll probably go see a doctor. People don't typically say, oh, I need to go see my athletic trainer or something, unless you know one, and then you would know what they do and they would probably help you out. But that's not an open invitation to go see your athletic trainer friends or whatever for all of your ailments. But what I mean to say is, typically people go and see a personal trainer versus an athletic trainer because they don't know, one, what an athletic trainer is. They don't know what we can do and how we can help. And two, we're not necessarily, in general, there's probably people who have their own businesses, business models and things as an athletic trainer that do help people with working out and how to, lose weight, do those things. And maybe they have different credentials along with their athletic training. But I think it's just not as widely available. If you're not on a sports team, or you're a high school athlete, or if you're not in the industrial setting where you have an athletic trainer you go to, and ATC isn't the one you go to for injury questions or complaints or pains and asking about rehab, because they're just not available in that way. I don't necessarily think that they need to be. I think it would be really cool to see more athletic trainers just in general, because it's not a huge, I mean, it's growing, but if it grew more, then we'd get paid more too. So that's a whole other thing. But
interesting.
Kind of to your, people don't go to an athletic trainer unless they know that that's the person they have to go to, because they're on their sports team. They're the ones that's assigned to help them for their injuries and rehab and things.
Yeah, to me, it just sounds like it's a market that could be more widely used. Like, it sounds like more athletic trainers could be helping people more with sports performance and injury prevention, like just the general population. Totally. But it's just a market that's not tapped into, because it's been and I can understand why, because you guys have so much knowledge and you guys go to school for so long, that it's just for sports and, for like doctors and things like that. But I think there's definitely a market there that's untapped.
Right. And you even mentioned like working in the doctor's office, like that's what I do. Right. And I'm working with an orthopedic surgeon and for him. And so he, like, a lot of hospitals are noticing, oh, athletic trainers, that's untapped potential. We can start using them in our clinics instead of MAs or things, because they have a lot wider knowledge of the anatomy, the sports physiology, things like that we can start using in an orthopedic clinic. I'm the one having a hard time talking.
Hey, I thought I had a speech impediment, but I don't know. Maybe we're both. Well, I think I'm rubbing off on you. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, so like it's starting to become like this untapped potential, because honestly, high schools are great. Nothing against them. I think the athletic trainers who are at high schools are so amazing, and they're so brave, because they're braver than me, because that's hard. But at the same time, there's pay gaps and things like that a lot of people are like, I don't know if I can handle doing a high school, working those crazy hours and not get paid accordingly, and maybe, going to hospitals or going anywhere else that maybe can fulfill some more of that potential that we have. Can be awesome routes. And so athletic trainers can really do a lot of different things. And one thing isn't better than the other. Like, being at a high school is not better than being in the clinic, and clinic's not better than being on a, for a sports team or something at D1 college. Everybody's doing their own thing, and I don't think we need to put each other above each other. That is a whole other thing that we can get into. Obviously, I can talk about it forever, but there's just so many things that we could do. And it is untapped, like you said.
Yeah. I can tell this is definitely something that you have are very passionate about.
Yeah,
and
probably too passionate.
we could definitely talk about this for a while, and I definitely want to ask you more. But I would I think it would be appropriate if we kind of switch into more of like what a personal trainer is,
definitely.
and how, and kind of maybe even switch the conversation, like how a personal trainer and a athletic trainer, because it's not very common. I feel like you see a athletic trainer and personal trainer that can come together like this,
Sure.
So in my definition, in my practice, and what I've been working with people one-on-one in person. So like, I know right now there's this popular buzz in the online space of, you can go online and become an online fitness coach and make all this money and blah, blah, blah. Yes, you could, but being a personal trainer is really, really hard. And if you haven't worked one-on-one with people, it's going to be so difficult to work online with those clients, because the more you work in person, the more you learn about how people work, essentially, right?
Definitely.
Like, for example, I I've been working with the lady for 3-4 years now, and she had her cord removed. It was like, that's just something you don't hear about, right? And you like, I've just seen the most weirdest things come through as a personal trainer, and just getting that experience and working with people in person, that allows me to help people online better because I know and understand how the body works. But my notes here, I'm essentially kind of general overview of what personal training is we help create a custom exercise program for our clients. We also take into consideration their technique, their movement restrictions, current cardiovascular fitness levels, and safety as well. I'm also a accountability leader.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a cheerleader like on the sign or like on like the sideline,
you be on the sideline like me.
But like that's not what we are. I'm here to challenge people, but in a way that is reasonable and also more realistic for them. And I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but a analogy that I've used recently with like our clients is I tell all our new members that they are in the driver's seat of the car and I'm in the passenger seat with the roadmap. And like, I have the like, hey, take a right turn here, go straight, push on the gas, push on the brake, but they're in the driver's seat. They have the autonomy to push on the brakes, take a break if need to, maybe even jump out of the car and brake because they have the control over this whole entire program, which is really important. I'm also their biggest I'm also their biggest supporter. I've been told time and time again that I have way too much faith in people when it comes to being able to lift a certain weight.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think I'm crazy. Like, hey, I think you can do a lot more than that. And then they do.
That's why we don't work out.
Yeah, that's definitely why we don't work out together. And something, so like there's a couple other things here that not a lot of people talk about that I've seen in my practice as a personal trainer. I've been told time and time again, like I'm kind of like a therapist, but like I got to be on a cautious side of that because like I don't want to step over my scope of practice.
Totally.
That's like a fine dance when it comes to being a personal trainer. Is there's a lot of problems that come to you, but you got to be very careful not to step over line and not still stay within your scope of practice.
Yeah. I
also I have to listen to single thing going on in my clients' lives.
Yeah. That's also because of who you are.
Maybe, yeah.
Very approachable. I don't know.
Maybe that's just, I don't know. But yeah, like if I've been working with people for 2 to 3 years, they get to know me, they open up and they tell me about everything. Right. And, which is fine. I love that. Right. But if I'm seeing 6-7 clients in a day, like it's just a lot to take in sometimes. Sure. Right. And like trying to not act as a therapist, not like wanting to step in. So there's
being careful about your boundaries and things.
Yeah. And like, there's some really hard stuff. Like a client will tell me sometimes and I'm like, ooh. And then all of a sudden the next client comes in and like, oh, well, I have to kind of like put that to the side and focus on this, even though that hard stuff they just told me. Right.
Totally.
So that's kind of in a nutshell what a personal trainer is. Essentially we help people with their fitness goals, lose weight, build muscle. I like to help people, and what we do is we specialize in being able to help people move better pain-free, but we are also really heavy in the mindset area. We don't operate as a therapist, but just in my practice, being able to work with people these past 4 years, I have been able to just learn a lot of things from a behavioral standpoint to really help people change not only their fitness, but their behaviors around fitness and their mindset around fitness and things like that as well too.
Yeah. I liked what you were saying. I mean, yeah, we have to be careful about our scopes, right? But athletic trainers sometimes get called like the bartenders of athletics or of sports. I think that's what they say. Because a lot of the time, like you said, like an athlete will come in ready for treatment and you sit down, you're doing their treatments, and they're going to tell you everything if you're approachable, of course. Right. If you're that type of person that's wanting to hear that, and if you're, open to that. And I think you are definitely very approachable, and that's why a lot of people do that. But I sometimes feel like I struggle with that. I like to be introverted. This is why this is a little hard for me. But like at the same time, like athletic trainers can cross over into that realm as well, because you get a lot of that emotional. You hear a lot about how their sports are going, how their stresses are with school, and you have to be there for them because they're there to get the treatments from you and your open ears. And so that's a really interesting thing that we could probably talk about a lot on this as well, mental health, and maybe just touch into it without overextending our scopes, right?
Right. But I think one of the biggest things that I want to kind of bring to the forefront here is it's a hard line, because as a personal trainer and nutrition coach, I've seen time and time again where we let these past experiences define who we are in reality.
Yeah.
And it doesn't allow us to move forward on our fitness goals. It doesn't allow us to move forward on our professional goals. And like, it keeps us stuck. So it's a really, really hard balance between like, well, what can I say and can I not say to kind of help this person still move forward and not continue to feel stuck by these past experiences.
Totally. And I think it's not necessarily that it's your job to help them move past that. I think it's more just you're building that relationship, and you've done such a good job of building a relationship with your clients that they open up to you. And that's like where that leads to. I don't know if they maybe need anything from you, but you're totally right on that. It's really hard to be able to balance it. Like if you're an athletic trainer and your athlete comes to you, or, you know, whoever comes to you, patient, and it opens up about something, you have to be careful about how you approach it, and, you know, be there for them, but also, you know, find your boundaries and see what works. And if you're an athletic trainer who's been with the team for a really long time, you get to know those people, same as like a personal trainer would get to know somebody that they've trained for 2 to 3 years or more. And so that's where I think there's a really interesting overlap there of how do we talk to these people if we've never, you know, had sports psychology or psychology training. And luckily for a lot of sports teams, there are, you know, sports psychologists if their school is available for that. High school, there's counselors and things like that, but I don't know about any other ones besides just normal therapists, right? And so we can always refer, which is important to remember that too.
Yeah. And I think it just goes to show the importance of it's more beneficial to help somebody if you know people in different professions. So I feel like, especially in personal training, a lot of new personal trainers, they'll get caught in this realm of like, everybody's a competition. All these coaches are competitions, right?
Yeah.
But you know more things as a athletic trainer than I do, and you can help in other ways that I can't.
Totally.
So I think it just goes to show, especially for personal trainers and athletic trainers in every profession, that there needs to be a network system. You need to have people in your network that you can reach out to if somebody is really struggling and needs, you know, help with like therapy or athletic training,
sports massage, things like that. You know, people for that too. And it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, I hope this kind of brings to light the difference between an athletic trainer and a personal trainer. I'm sure you guys probably have a question, or maybe a couple. And if you do, that would be great, because we want to be able to help. We want to be able to help go over those questions as well. So please drop the questions. Let's
somewhere.
See. How does the internet work again? Some magical cloud in the sky? I don't know. Yeah, right. I mean, how does it work? How does the internet work?
Ask. I don't know what. Don't ask me.
Okay. Well, this is going to be uploaded on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, drop a comment on YouTube. Sure. Spotify, I don't know if you can leave a question on Spotify. So what you can
But you can always message us on.
Yeah, so
us as in him, because my Instagram's private.
Yeah, her Instagram is private. So you can.
So don't ask me any questions.
A couple things you can do is you can send me a direct message at Champ Decamp on Instagram, or on Facebook. You can message me at Logan Decamp, or you can email me at logan@champ-camp.com. Now, don't leave yet though, because we're going to talk about why we even started this podcast.
Yeah.
Which I think is something we're still trying to figure out, if we're being honest. Because like I came on here and I'm like, so I wanted to talk about why the difference of athletic training and personal training is important, but like I'm trying to figure out how is this going to be more specific to the consumer. So I think, being able to tell you how this is important for like your fitness goals and being able to shine a light on athletic training is important. But I think now we need to kind of figure out, okay, why are we doing this? Why is this even important? Why are we even here?
It's a great question. Those are the questions that everybody asks. Why are we here? I think we've talked about it back and forth like for a lot ever since you kind of brought this up. I think as it grows, it would be great to see people, using what we talk about to improve their fitness, improve their nutrition, improve their just general health in life. And if people deal with chronic issues in terms of injuries that they've just dealt with for years, I can provide lots of support that way. I think between the both of our skills and knowledge, it's kind of a unique perspective that we can provide, because there's people who do athletic training podcasting, and then there's obviously tons, not as many on the athletic training, but they're great, and I like those podcasts. They're awesome. And then there's tons of personal trainers who are doing podcasting. And so having our unique perspectives on, okay, well, what do I do if this happens? What do I do? How do I do this? How do I, for people to look for us as, advice on how to just improve their life and general quality.
Yeah. No, that's good.
That sounds really intense, but don't know if I'm super qualified for that. But yeah.
I mean, you just put yourself on a pedestal.
Yeah, so that was bad. If I'm gonna bring myself down, don't listen to me as much. Listen to him.
So that means we got to make another episode. That's what it sounds like.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Hey guys, I need you to make sure you like this and give her a bunch of acknowledgement for coming on here, because this is definitely something. It is not in her comfort zone, but
easy.
But we talk about seeking discomfort quite a bit. And she's owning it, which is great. But no, I couldn't agree more. I think kind of what I specialize in our program is we help busy parents and business owners be able to sustainably long term lose fat and improve their relationship with nutrition and exercise, and help them move better pain-free. And taking kind of our audience and being able to showcase the knowledge that a athletic trainer can bring to the table on that, from a sports performance, injury prevention, like things to do with your fitness goals. Like, hey, if you do this, it might improve the quality of your workouts. Or being able to talk about more plyometric training, and like there's so many different things that we can kind of spin on. And I have my knowledge, but then she has a master's degree. Like I have a certification, and I have 4 years of experience, which is great. And I've also
not nothing.
I've spent thousands of dollars on mentorship and education. Like I probably spent 15, 20 grand, I would say, on mentorship and education if I had to add it all up.
Probably.
And I've also been working in the field. So like, yes, I have all this experience, but like she has a master's.
Don't downplay it, because that's important too.
Yeah. But like, I think it's also important to recognize like you have a master's degree though too. Sure. So you definitely bring a different perspective to the table. So I think just being able to kind of, take your knowledge, my knowledge, and then just bringing like certain topics to the table to speak on, I think is going to help people really be able to apply different practical tips with fitness, nutrition, mindset in their life.
Yeah. Definitely. And even if you're just looking for somewhere to start, of just how am I doing this? How to do any of this? It'll just, hopefully can kind of get people excited about doing those things. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I don't
know. Yep. I like it. There's so much more that I could speak on there, but we are running out of time here today. We are out. So again, please drop a like, comment. I'm not sure where you're listening to this on, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you are. Please show this episode some love so we can make a second one. And we'll be in touch soon.
Bye.
Bye.